All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome. It is Thursday morning, and we are finally, several days after the draft, getting around to what everybody thought was the most Kyle Shanahan pick of the 49ers draft. Isaac Guerendo from Louisville. All right, this is a guy that ran a 4.33 40 at 223 pounds, which is weight-adjusted 99th percentile. He ran a 1.55 10-yard split. He was in the 97th percentile for his vert. He was in the 95th percentile for his broad jump. And I'm not sure he's ever been a starter. So here he is now to play for the 49ers. And for some more perspective on it, Michael McCammon, who covers Louisville for 24/7 Sports at cardinalauthority.com. Michael, am I saying Louisville correctly?
There's many different ways. And now that it's Kentucky Derby week, we've got people from all over the world coming in. So there's many other different options as well. But yeah, Louisville, that's pretty much the local preferred choice. If you're watching the news, you might hear Louisville. But yeah, no, Louisville.
I learned early it wasn't Louisville.
Yeah. It's funny how the local flavor will carry on to where you even hear the announcers when they're doing games, pronouncing it the way the locals do. So
I think that's the way to do it.
That's
personally.
Right.
If you can do it, the challenge would be do Louisville without sounding like you're trying to say every word. It gets a little too fun. You start talking like the locals.
Yeah, you might start sounding like you have some marbles in your mouth, or maybe you had a little bit too much bourbon or something. But you'll get there after a few times. So we'll welcome you. That's for sure. If you come out to Louisville.
Good. All right. Well, we have a shared interest now in Isaac Guerendo. And I don't know how much you were paying attention to like the pre-draft stuff from a NFL perspective, but he was in several mock drafts. There was an NFL draft analyst probably a month ago who tweeted, "Niners really like Isaac Guerendo," and then deleted the tweet. And everyone was like, all right, that means it was probably real.
Yeah.
So, this one there was a few. There was Brendan Rice and Luke McCaffrey, right? And Isaac Guerendo. These were Niners kind of tied. They couldn't do all of it, but it seemed like this one was telegraphed. From your side of it, what did you think of seeing him drafted to the 49ers?
I think the 49ers have picked up a great running back. He's a guy that when he came to Louisville was kind of I don't want to call him a head scratcher, but it seemed just kind of like more of a depth piece when he came over from Wisconsin. Was a guy that kind of, that was still when Wisconsin was the cloud of dust, kind of the running game. So he didn't really get to show off that speed that you were mentioning himself. When as he continued to remain available, I thought whoever's going to get this guy as the draft goes on is getting a guy that has a lot of what I would call deception in his game, from not only just his ability on the field as well, but also the ability to lead his other teammates to come in as a rookie and mesh really well. He's a great student of the game. That's one of the things that really impressed me when he came to Louisville was, and I expect that the San Francisco 49ers will experience the same, as when he got to Louisville as a transfer. I mean, here's a guy that spent all these years at Wisconsin, totally different system, comes into Louisville, as an experienced guy with all these other guys that he wants to, beat out in the depth room, and basically says, okay, teach me. What do I need to learn? What's this offense about? How can I, further validate or show off my skills on the football field? And that's what he did. I mean, he came in and learned what he needed to do. Didn't try to push the guys that were in front of him out of the way and say, hey, I'm here now, I'm going to take over. And like you said, you weren't even sure if he started. He's a guy he's a total team player that will wait his turn. And when he gets that call, he's more likely going to shine. So I think the 49ers picked up a great one in Isaac.
The answer is he did once in the bowl game, the last game of his career. It's a 6-year, red shirt plus 5. He's in college for 6 years. He starts the last game of his career. So, I guess we could start there. Like, for a home run pick, how did he start one game in basically 5 years of playing football? Now, he had some injuries too, but how is that? You come from Wisconsin. How is that possible? It's perplexing.
Yeah, and once we start seeing him in fall camp and what he's able to do before he even took a snap in a real game with Louisville, and as he continued to become more adjusted to that Jeff Brom offense, he really started to shine because he's got that speed and he's got great hands. But he came into the room, and I think that the fact that he didn't come in and almost, you hate to say word demand because guys obviously shouldn't come in and demand a starting spot, the fact that he didn't come in and kind of portray himself like I'm coming, I'm taking it over this room, really, I think speaks a lot to his character. That shows you the type of teammate that he can be, but just kept on working like he was a first team guy, and got a few carries here and there early on in the season. Jawar Jordan is another guy that got drafted in the draft just a couple days ago. Another really speedy, shifty kind of guy. He was the number one back when Isaac got to Louisville. So Isaac is like, okay, this is your game. I'll take the number 2, number 3 spot, whatever Jeff wants me to do. And then Jawar gets a little banged up, and Isaac gets a few more carries, and then he starts stringing 100-yard games together, and you could see what he does. And that speed, he'd find a hole, and you think he's going to run a couple guys over for 5 yards, and no, he's gone for 60. So he's a guy that can do it in all phases of the running game.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because you look at his last 3 years, he was 6 or 7 yards per carry, even though it went like 20 carries, 60 carries, 130 carries. I would imagine we'd have to look. I mean, there's a lot of veteran players and 5-6 year guys in this draft. There can't be too many running backs that played 5 years and only have 231 carries. Now he did get banged up, so several times he had some injuries at Wisconsin. So I don't know, if we can say he's got a lot of more juice in the tank than a 5th-year guy would, a lot of tread on the tire. But he hasn't carried the ball a ton for a guy that was in college for 5 years, if you're looking for some upside, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, coming out at that age, a guy that's played basically his full length in college ball. I mean, I would call that fresh. I mean, he's coming in, understanding. And one of the good things about the Jeff Brom offense, and I think this is one of the reasons that he eventually chose Louisville. When he was deciding to transfer to Wisconsin, it's very NFL friendly. I mean, Jeff Brom, is an NFL guy. He designs his game plans. He designs the way he runs his program. Like an NFL program. So that was really attractive to Isaac, which I think also is going to give him a heads up as he gets in, starts stepping into that locker room there in San Francisco and learning his way around and with the franchise there. But yeah, I mean, he's coming into the league with basically fresh legs, not any more so banged up than most running backs coming out of college are. So I would expect to see him, to come in and really participate and get a few nice carries this fall.
Mr. Indiana. Or Mr. Football in Indiana as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So how much of a receiving threat is he?
Yeah, he's got fantastic hands. That when I was mentioning about what he was showing in his first fall camp at Louisville, gosh, seems like an eternity ago, but it's just about a little over a year ago, or almost a year ago, I should say. That was one of the things that really jumped out is how well he was with his hands, because again, with the Jeff Brom offense, he's very, I would call it pass friendly, even though he does like to run the ball, but so he gets his running backs involved. And if you can show that you can catch the ball, that's when your snaps are going to start to increase on his offense. And as he started getting those opportunities, he didn't have very many drops. So if Isaac can roll out and he's got an opportunity to pull in a screen, then he can, and pull that in. And he's a guy that can obviously with that 4.3 speed be gone down the sideline real quickly.
I mean, we saw, Christian McCaffrey caught 83 balls last year. Yeah. The 49ers also used an athletic tight end in Kyle Juszczyk. And it's left some people wondering if that could be, a fullback. Did I say tight end? Yeah. And Kyle Juszczyk. It's left some people wondering if Isaac Guerendo, because of his size, could have a future there. What do you think of that idea?
I wouldn't be surprised because, I mean, the first reaction that I had and that most had when he was transferring, when you hear Wisconsin football, you think that the cloud of dust type of running game. And then when you look at his size, kind of, okay, cloud of dust type of run game. But I think he's capable of filling both of those type of roles. And that could be a kind of like an X factor where he really can become a little bit of a difference maker with obviously Christian McCaffrey, such an impactful player. Is you've got a guy now who maybe wanting to fill that role, and all of a sudden he slides out and you get him a screen and he's gone. So I think he could fill both of those roles quite well for the Niners.
What would you say his best skill is, or his top 2 traits?
His ability to see a hole and then not be patient, just take off. I mean, that when we were first getting to know him, he kept bringing up, hey, I'm fast, because everybody would always talk about the other backs in the room, how quick they are, the smaller guys. And he kept saying, hey, don't discount my speed. And we've seen it now, a year at Louisville, and then especially we did at the combine. So I think his ability to see a hole and then just destroy it the moment that he sees it is a huge strength for him. And then also, I think a big X factor for him is his leadership, his ability to learn from others and to soak things in. Like I'm sure he's going to be learning from Christian quite a bit and from other people on the 49ers roster on just how to, not only to better perform on the field, to become a better 49er, to adjust into the community and all those type of things. He's a guy that I think you're going to really be impressed with, both on the field and what he does in the locker room and in the community as well.
Does Louisville's offense require smart players?
It does, very much so. And when you're in a position, like a running back, a tight end, a wide receiver, those type of skill players, your playbook's going to go from about like this to about like this, and you're going to be required to know all of it. And his ability to come in and learn that so quickly, and then put it into fruition on the field was another obviously impressive thing about Isaac.
This question comes up with every receiver, running back, tight end. If you told me Shanahan has a box for quarterback that's asked what kind of blocker he is, I'd believe it. So what kind of blocker is he?
I think he's a perfect situation where you're going to whether he's going to have to stay in and slow a guy down that's trying to mow down your quarterback. I think he's the type of guy. He's obviously got that bulk that's not going to get plowed over by most guys coming into the backfield. So I think he's a guy that's going to certainly fulfill what you're hoping for in the blocking scheme.
I mean, we see this a lot, and maybe it's I feel like we've seen a lot in this draft, particularly with some of these Niners picks. I don't know, Michael, maybe it's a function of fifth and sixth year guys, like maybe 5-star, 4-star recruits are just generally going to be 3-year and drafted players. I don't know. This is another kind of 3-star recruit, right? Like the Niners draft is filled with these guys that have, first of all, I think there's only one player that played for one college team in this draft.
It's crazy.
And this is college, as you know, this is college football right now. But what would you say just from like you talked about what kind of guy he is, but in terms of what what his challenges have been to getting to this point, what's his kind of the arc of his story like?
I think if I were to try to describe his path to this point in a short phrase, it would be kind of like he's a determined guy that is willing to show patience. But when he gets that opportunity, he's really going to shine. I think what we saw from his decision from a high school star in Indiana, as you mentioned, a 3-star, recruited by some obviously Power 5 programs, Power 4 programs now.
Yeah.
But has always kind of carried a chip on his shoulder, like he needs to prove something. Got to Wisconsin, was always behind somebody. His opportunities there were very limited, and it wasn't an offense that really highlighted his game. When he was deciding on the schools, he decided to find a place. Hey, here's a place I think I can not only learn a lot more, but also, step into a role that will allow me to prove my value, my worth, that I'm, not just a big body that can block, a big body that can just, find a little hole and get you 3-4 yards. No, I'm a guy that can be explosive on the field, make guys miss, move around them, as well as run over them and catch the ball. So I think, when you look at Isaac, I think he's a guy that's always in a continual I'm going to prove it mode. And I think if you're talking about a guy you just took out of the draft that you want to see, help your team, you certainly want somebody with that type of a mindset.
I mean, I'm looking, his first offers were Air Force and Army.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, if he'd gone to Air Force, now it's tough because you can't redshirt at Air Force. You don't play as a freshman at Air Force. So you definitely don't get 5-6 years. But he looks like the type of guy that could have, been a top. When I just watch his tape, and I've watched a lot of Air Force, I think that guy could have become, one of the nation's top rushers if he'd gone to Air Force. They have
absolutely
good running backs, so you never know. But
yeah, and seeing those service academies also can, speak to his character as well on the guys that they recruit. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I think if Louisville would have made him the top back last year, would have gone over 1,000 yards, on the ground. He had over 1,000 all-purpose yards, 800 and something yards last year. But I think he would have been 1,200 yards if he had been the feature back for most of the year. He proved to have that durability that you want. And again, he has the ability to bang around with the big bodies. And then if he sees a hole, he's gone. So, I think he's going to be a fantastic pickup again for the 49ers. I know it sounds like a broken record with that, but when you get him at that spot in the draft, I think Kyle Shanahan did a great job picking him up. And there was a comment that he made that, Shanahan did about when they were, I guess he was asked about Isaac's speed, and he goes, we like a speed that we weren't trying to make a blanket statement, I think is what he said when he was in regards to the speed that, they liked him more than just what he did in the combat, that 4.3, but because he is that big body, because he can do all these other attributes as well. So good pick, it looks like.
Am I seeing this correctly? I know you just got done with your Louisville spring game coverage.
Mhm.
Tyler Shuck is
Yeah.
going to be the Louisville former Duck and former Texas Tech Red
Yeah.
Raider.
College
Tyler
football.
Shuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this year 6 for him? I know he broke his leg early last year at Texas Tech.
It is. A funny thing, obviously he's got his big question mark is, can they keep him healthy? But he's certainly an NFL quarterback. And it's funny, we were talking to Brian Brom, Jeff Brom's younger brother, who's the offensive coordinator and a quarterback coach for Louisville, former NFL quarterback himself. He was joking around saying, that when he was talking to Tyler, when he was at Tyler's age, when Brian was at that age, he was a third-year quarterback already. He goes, I was already getting kicked out of the league because nobody would re-sign me, and now he's in because of the COVID year and the transfers and everything. Here he is, he's a third-year guy or 6-year, 7-year guy in college football. So
isn't he getting? Did he just get married, or he's about to get
married? Yeah, luckily it was scheduled before Louisville spring practice. It fell on an off day, so they were able to have so nothing like you're halfway through spring ball. I'll be right back. I got to go get married and come back and finish up. So yeah, but he's an impressive quarterback. So hopefully he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I think he's more talented than Plummer, who they had last year.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, no slight to Jack, because obviously he took the Cardinals to the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if Tyler can stay healthy, they've got a guy that can sling it, run it, and do what you need.
What's life in the ACC like right now? We were joking because Niners drafted a couple Florida State guys, so we were talking to one of the Brendan Sonnone, who covers Florida State, and I was laughing because Cal is going to Florida State this year. And I said, should I hold my breath for Florida State's return trip? And he said, no, I don't think you should.
Louisville just picked up a transfer out of Cal, defensive end Miles Jernigan. And I joked as I was making the reporting, Miles Jernigan gets to stay in the ACC. I mean, how strange is that? But it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to making a couple trips out to the West Coast. I was out there for the Holiday Bowl last year. So, it's always fun but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little bizarre to hop on the plane. We'd be able to watch an entire movie, have a meal, and take a nap before you even get to the next ACC location. So yeah,
it is. All right. Well, who we got in the Derby this week? Huh? You got anybody you like?
I am still in pick mode. I'm one of those. The Derby in Louisville is kind of like Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. It's a multi-week long festivity. There's things all over the place where you've got live music stuff going on. Obviously there's many places to drink bourbon, all that. So I'm very much into enjoying the festival aspect of it. And usually once you get to Friday, you start really digging in.
Gotcha.
Those of us who aren't horse people start digging in and say, okay, who's my favorite color? Mix it with my favorite number, favorite jockey, and I'll pick a horse.
I'll tell you who I'm not rooting for is Catalytic.
Yeah. Catalytic.
That just, we had some thefts.
Yes.
And Catalytic if he's backed by converter money, then I'm not a fan of Catalytic.
Yeah, he may not finish. Somebody might run on the track, just pick him up.
That's right. He might lose a part.
It's tough out there these days.
All right, anything I didn't ask you about Guerendo that should be said before I let you go?
No, I think, again, I think what's awesome about Isaac is, again, one of the things that really impressed him is he's consistently deceptive. You're going to continue to look at him, especially once he gets those pads on. You go, this guy can run 4.3.
Yeah.
And then once you get to see him, the ball in his hands, he could take off and go 4.3. So, his deceptive abilities, as well as, what he will do, from a teammate perspective and as well as in the community, I think you guys have a great one. I'm not a 49ers fan, but I'm certainly looking forward to watching him play for the Niners out in San Francisco. So
what are you?
We don't really want to go there, do I? Well, I'm a Steelers fan.
You're a Steelers fan. Okay.
Yeah, so
all right.
Other side of the country. So
that's fine. There's no beef. That's fine.
Yeah.
A Chiefs fan, I was, that happens. But anyway, Michael, thank you so much for making time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guy. Yeah, anytime.
Great perspective. There's Michael McCammon, 24/7 Sports. We'll let Michael dip out there. But we've been doing this, and we've gotten great perspective. For those of you who aren't college sports fans, the 24/7 Sports Network, which all these major programs have, is they do incredible coverage. They are dedicated to this stuff. CardinalAuthority.com. If you want to go check out Michael's work and some more Louisville coverage, or if you're Tyler Shucker, like that's an Arizona guy. He's Purdy, the Purdy world. For college football fans, like when I say Tyler Shuck, you're like, oh, Tyler Shuck's at Louisville. So more great perspective. I mean, we've had, what is this? Let me count this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 9, 24. Actually 8 24/7. One rivals.com, guys. So, but it's fun, and I know when I talk to these guys, there's always, it's someone who loves college football and knows people around college football. There's generally some crossover with them. So I was trying to pull up while I was talking to him Louisville's football schedule. If you guys heard, I said I didn't include Clay Hendricks, the head coach of Furman, who joined us on the show yesterday. So if you've listened to the show today or yesterday, and you're not talking like a SEC referee, then you're missing out on the fun. Where is Louisville? Louisville comes to Stanford this year, so he is going to make a West Coast trip. Boy, Louisville goes to Notre Dame, to Clemson, to Kentucky, to Stanford. Not an easy schedule. Interesting. Host Miami, host Pitt. Yeah. Oh, I'll be interested to see them this year. All right, that's Isaac Guerendo. If you are watching this live, I got a live show with Larry Krueger coming up. Eric asked, Guy, how did you find all these guests? Come on. What do you mean? I sent a text. That's how. All right. That's Isaac Guerendo. Thanks for jumping on that. Like the video. If you're here live, 8:30 a.m. Pacific with Krueger coming up. If you're not live, then that's up. You can go watch that too. All right. Thanks for being here, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.